A Ferdinand fire that displaced a family has been ruled an arson. The Indiana Youth Institute brings us a special presentation on financial literacy for children, and Kurt Buchsel talks with IU basketball coach Tom Crean ahead in sports. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, officials with the Ferdinand Volunteer Fire Department and the Indiana State Fire Marshal's Office say a Wednesday morning fire at a mobile home that displaced a Ferdinand family was intentionally set. Ferdinand Volunteer Fire Chief Dan Lindauer says the Indiana State Fire Marshal's Office has concluded that arson was the cause of the blaze at the home of Pam and Michael Hobbs in the Cedar Manor Mobile Home Park along West 9th Street. Lindauer says tampering around electrical outlets led him to suspect arson from the beginning, but the state fire marshal was called in to confirm his suspicions. Lindauer also noted cardboard and other easily combustible materials also raised his suspicions. He said the case will be turned over to law enforcement, possibly the Indiana State Police, for further investigation to determine the party responsible for the blaze. The Hobbs family is currently staying in a camper at the Dubois County Park with their 2 children and a family friend. Damage to the home is estimated between $6,000 and $8,000. Lindauer says there was some water and fire damage to the kitchen, but the trailer sustained heavy smoke damage overall. Vote centers for Dubois County voters may become a reality in time for the 2014 election. Yesterday, members of the Dubois County Election Board decided to forward the idea of switching to the centers to the Dubois County Commissioners next month. The 3 board members, Nathan Verkamp, Roger Messmer, and County Clerk Bridget Jarboe, will meet with the commissioners at their meeting on June 17th before taking the matter before the County Council on June 24th. Under the proposed system, voters would be able to cast ballots at any vote center in the county on Election Day, rather than having to vote at a specific location determined by their precinct. The ability to cast early votes would remain essentially unchanged from the 2012 election. The county is looking at having 5 such centers countywide. Most likely, 2 vote centers would be in Jasper, 1 would be at the Huntingburg Event Center, 1 at the Ferdinand Community Center, and 1 in Dubois. The primary change would come in the way that voters are registered. Voters would be registered electronically under the proposed system, and the electronic poll books could share the information with each other and with the clerk's office. With fewer separate locations, the number of poll workers required would drop significantly. 7 Indiana counties already have switched to vote centers and electronic poll books. Once it has its approval from the county commissioners and council to move forward, the election board plans to form a study committee to look at the various options and costs. A plan must be drafted, and then the public must have at least 30 days to comment. The plan then must be unanimously approved by the election board, if it is to proceed, and filed with the state of Indiana. After the election, the effectiveness of the vote centers must be reviewed. Tomorrow, Habitat for Humanity of Dubois County is set to break ground on the group's 12th home. The new home, which is being built for the Brenda Messmer family, is a project that has been several years in the making. Speaking earlier this week on 18 WJTS Inform, Dubois County Habitat for Humanity Executive Director Melissa Baxter says it's a blessing to finally be able to do this for the Messmer family.
They worked for 3 years to be approved, and then we waited for another year to try to find land near Ferdinand. And this new property comes with the land right where she needs to live. It's right there by her daughter's school. It's very close to where her family is. And so it is such a blessing to have this land right there on the same property.
The day will also feature the grand reopening ceremonies for the new location of Habitat's Restore, which will now be located just to the north of Brettsville along South County Road 170 East. Baxter says the new location provides more space for the Restore, as well as the land for the Brenda Messmer home. Also during the appearance on 18 WJTS Inform earlier this week, Restore manager Barb Modize called the situation a win-win proposition for all involved.
And the Restore is real excited, so every day that we're open for sales, we can say, right over here's where your money's going. They can see it in the process, you know. So that's a real blessing to have that right there. And there's room for other homes down the road. So this was just a win-win situation all around.
The reopening will feature a noon cookout sponsored by UPS, live music, balloon artists, face painting, and games. The Restore reopening is set for 9 a.m. tomorrow, and the groundbreaking on the new Mesmer home is set for 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. For more information about Habitat for Humanity, the Restore, and opportunities to become a volunteer or donor, call Melissa Baxter at the number listed on your screen. 2 new members have been appointed to the Board of Directors of the Dubois County Community Foundation. They include Brian Tretter, the co-owner of Seifert Construction and Progressive Investment Company based in Ferdinand. Tretter is a graduate of the Indiana University Kelley School of Business and lives in Ferdinand with his wife and 3 sons. Brian currently serves on the board of the Ferdinand Chamber of Commerce, the East Region Advisory Board of German American Bank, and Dubois Strong. The other new board member is Andrea Tooley, the director of A Kids Place, a nonprofit daycare center in Huntingburg. Tooley recently completed the Principles and Techniques of Fundraising course through the Fundraising School. Her nonprofit and civic involvement includes Salem UCC Church Council, Huntingburg Study Club, Jasper Optimist Luncheon Club, and the Tri-County YMCA's Strong Kids campaign. Andrea and her husband reside in Huntingburg with their 2 children. Recent changes to board officers include Bill Kaiser's appointment as board president and Pat Miller as vice president. The 2 new members are part of a 13-member board that oversees finances, grant-making policies and practices, and strategic planning. Finally tonight, we bring you the second installment of our new Friday presentations, courtesy of the Indiana Youth Institute. As kids grow older, one of the most important aspects in their lives becomes money, specifically how to manage it. In our presentation, Bill Stanzakavich of IYI talks about getting kids to manage money and avoid the stresses of financial peril.
Financial literacy for children. A lot of times it's difficult to talk about money in families. We didn't talk about money in my family, so how do you approach that topic with your children?
You know, it's interesting when we talk about the importance of families staying together, the number one reason families break up is money. It's not infidelity, it's not substance abuse, and those things are causes, but money is always the number one issue. Either people disagree on how to manage it, or neither one handles the money very well, and now we're in a lot of financial stress. So the sooner we can start talking to our kids about money, the better. This could really start as early as kids know the difference of units of, you know, I have 2 things instead of 1 thing, or if they have a toy and now they don't have a toy, so they understand holding on to something. Basic lessons like that are the beginning steps of teaching financial literacy. Certainly then as kids get older and they start learning about money, now you can start teaching them lessons about wise spending, saving, and charitable giving. For a lot of us, you know, that first charitable giving was the quarter that our parents gave us while we were in a religious service, for example, or at a community event, and we were able to donate and make a difference. And then certainly as kids get older, we need to continue to show them the importance of wise financial management. One of the big things you need to let kids know is that the money is finite, so they have to make choices. And so let your kids make some choices and let them live by the consequences of those choices. If they spend something, then they don't have as much, and they're maybe not able to spend on the next thing, and let them learn from that. It might be a little bit painful, might be a little bit awkward, but you're teaching them good, wise money management and how to be good stewards. And as that gets embedded as children, they're more likely to make wise choices as adults. Then when we move into the high school years, now maybe we can start talking about things like credit. Because when kids turn 18 and if they move out of the home to go to college or just to be on their own, now the credit card applications start coming in. And we really need to be talking to our kids about the wise use of credit. Of course, consumer debt went through the roof leading up to the Great Recession. Fortunately, it's starting to come back down, but it is still a very easy thing to get trapped in. You know, debt in and of itself is not a bad thing. Debt done poorly is destructive. And we just need to help our kids understand that. To take debt for big things like a house, maybe for a vehicle, but certainly not for the pizza every week or just the everyday expenses and the debt that we do have each month to try to pay it off at the end of the month. You can never start too soon. Start very basic with young kids. As they get to understand money, give them a chance to make some decisions with money. As the kids get older, let's start talking about credit. And if you do that consistently, you increase the likelihood that they'll be good financial managers as adults.
I know a lot of parents sometimes do struggle with money. How do you approach this in a way that it's not stressful for the child?
Just to be real about it. You just need to acknowledge that, money is not limitless. There is only so much. And so we need to be able to make wise financial choices. It's not something to stress about. It is what it is. And then you just make wise choices accordingly. One thing we can do as adults is model good financial management for our kids, that we're not always impulse buying or buying things that we want but necessarily do not need and then don't have money for the needs. When we model wise financial decisions ourselves as adults, our kids notice that, and they're more likely to learn that and then live that out as they get older.
Once again, our video is courtesy of Indiana Youth Institute. Coming up after the break, rainy weather for the weekend ahead in your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring Stacy Fisher with the Dubois County WIC program. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.